In Japan, not every ghost story begins in an abandoned hospital or a forest no one dares to enter. Some of the most unsettling encounters happen in places far more ordinary. A quiet apartment hallway, a late-night convenience store, or a school gym where the lights flicker for just a second too long. These stories didn't come from thrill seekers. They came from people who simply went on with their daily lives until something from the other side stepped in. Tonight we dive into real accounts of supernatural encounters hidden beneath Japan's calm, everyday routine. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and share this with someone who loves Japanese ghost stories. Your support helps us uncover even deeper, darker mysteries. Now let's step into the shadows of ordinary Japan. Sound of distant traffic and a faint wind. Three high school girls, Mika, Yui, and Rina, walk down a narrow, slightly dim alley.
Are you sure this place is still open? It looks kind of old.
According to the sign, yeah, but I hope the door isn't locked.
The girls reach a small, slightly run-down VHS store. The bell chimes softly as they enter. The air smells of old paper and dust.
Wow, it's like stepping back in time. Look at all these tapes. Some are so old I've never seen them before.
Welcome, girls. Looking for something special?
Yeah, maybe a scary movie for tonight?
The owner nods, disappearing into the back room. Mika notices a dirty, unmarked VHS lying on the counter. Curiosity glints in her eyes.
What's this? There's no label. It looks ancient.
She reaches for the tape. The store owner quickly returns, frowning.
No, that's not for you. Please, put it back.
Why? What's on it?
This isn't a film you're meant to see. Trust me, take this one instead.
She hands them a normal horror tape. Mika's eyes flickered between the two. When the owner turns her back, Mika quietly slips the mysterious VHS into her bag.
Just one peek, it can't hurt, right?
The girls leave the store, laughter and nervous chatter mixing with the fading afternoon light. Unseen, the tape seems to pulse faintly in Mika's bag, as if aware of its new owner. The room is dimly lit by a single lamp. The three girls sit cross-legged on the floor, the TV and VHS player humming.
Are we really doing this? I mean, it looks creepy already.
It's just a movie, don't be silly.
Mika slides the mysterious VHS into the player. She wears an old bracelet on her wrist, something she's always kept from her grandmother. The tape whirs. Static fills the screen for a few seconds before an eerie image appears. Someone tied to a wooden stake, surrounded by a shouting crowd.
Guys, this isn't like any horror movie I've seen.
The lights flicker. A low hum resonates in the room. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the walls.
Did the power just...
Something's wrong.
The girls lean closer to the screen. The bound woman screams, flames licking at her feet. Her voice pierces the room as if coming from everywhere.
Those who watch shall meet the same fate in 2 days.
The room goes dark. Only the flickering tape illuminates their faces. Rina and Yui clutch each other, panicking. Mika touches her bracelet instinctively. A faint golden shimmer surrounds her wrist. The shadows flicker, but she feels a sudden calm.
Mika, help!
Mika turns to them, panic in their eyes, but the shimmer from her bracelet seems to push the darkness back just enough.
I don't know why, but it feels like I'm only halfway affected.
The tape finishes abruptly. The room plunges into normal darkness. The girls sit frozen, trembling.
What just happened?
I think it's over, for now.
Yet, the mysterious VHS sits innocently on the floor, as if waiting for its next moment to awaken. Morning light filters weakly through the curtains. Mika sits at her desk, staring at the VHS, still shaken. A soft knock at the door.
Mika, we feel strange.
It's burning inside.
Mika rushes to them, noticing faint scorch marks appearing on their clothes and skin. Her heart races.
No, it's happening! The curse, it's real!
Rina clutches her arm, shaking violently.
Why aren't you burning?
Mika glances at her hands. The faint golden shimmer from last night still lingers. She realizes the chant she muttered disrupted the curse, but only partially.
I only escaped halfway. I have to save them.
The VHS flickers on its own, static spitting across the screen. Images of the bound woman and angry mob flash quickly, then vanish.
It's coming for us, Mika. I can feel it.
Mika grabs an old family talisman from her drawer, murmuring a protective incantation. The shimmer returns, stronger this time, wrapping her body like a cocoon of light.
I won't let it take you. Focus on me. Hold my hands.
Rina and Yui reach out, trembling. The glow pulses, pushing back the creeping darkness. Slowly, the heat on their bodies dissipates. The scorch marks fade.
I think it's gone.
You saved us, Mika.
Mika exhales, eyes still fixed on the VHS.
This isn't over, not for anyone who dares to watch this.
The tape lies silent, but its sinister presence lingers in the room like a quiet heartbeat, promising that one day, curiosity could awaken it again. Mika sits on the floor, still shaken. She looks at the mysterious VHS, now resting silently beside her. Beside her, a small figurine. A little charm she keeps for luck, glimmers faintly in the lamplight. Mika picks up the figurine and notices a tiny, delicate chain entwined around its base. Almost instinctively, she wraps the chain around her wrist, the same way she had seen her grandmother wear protective charms. A warm, subtle glow radiates from the figurine. Mika feels a calm wash over her, a gentle shield against the lingering darkness.
Maybe this will keep me safe, at least for now. Some things are better left unseen, but if you ever find a tape like this, would you dare to watch it?
It was a late winter night, just before New Year's. Mika had finished closing the shop and was hurrying home. The air was freezing, every breath spilling out in a white mist.
Snow, it's starting to fall. God, it's cold.
Beside her stretched a wide, four-lane road, empty at this hour. At first, Mika thought she'd be the only soul out tonight. But then, she saw someone coming toward her.
At this time of night? Who would be out here?
She expected a drunken man, maybe a tired bar hostess. But what approached her was neither. It was a small girl, a child wearing a yellow school hat, bouncing forward with a cheerful little hop.
A schoolgirl at this hour?
The brim of the yellow hat hid her eyes, but Mika could see the curve of a smile tugging at her lips. The girl never looked at Mika, never even turned her head, just kept hopping happily along. They passed each other. And then, Mika froze, and in pint, the girl was gone. She had vanished completely. No sound of footsteps, no trace on the snow. And in that instant, a white van spun out of control, skidding on the snow before smashing against the rail. Mika rushed forward, rude. Through the cracked windshield, the driver's face was a mask of blood, stunned and trembling.
Where's the child? That kid. She ran out into the road.
There's no one here. I didn't see.
But she remembered. The little girl, hopping past her in the dark, smiling under that yellow hat. That night, even after Mika returned home, her unease wouldn't fade. She soaked in a hot bath, curled beneath the covers, but the image of the smiling girl in the yellow hat haunted her mind.
Stop it. Just sleep. Forget it.
But just as her eyes grew heavy, she glanced at the clock.
Who the hell would come at this hour?
3 a.m. Exactly 3. Her skin crawled.
No.
The doorbell rang again.
Who's there?
Her heart hammered. She crept to the door, barefoot, careful not to make a sound. Slowly, she pressed her eye to the peephole. At first, no one. But then, at the very bottom of her vision, she saw it. A yellow hat.
No, it's her.
The knob twisted and shook, violently, over and over.
Stop!
Open the door.
The doorknob shook harder, faster.
Open the door.
And then, the door began to move. The chain lock held. Only a small gap remained. Through it, a hand slid inside. Small, pale, stretching toward Mika.
Come on, open it now.
Please stop.
The voice warped. No longer a child, but a man's voice, deep and cruel. And then silence. After the door slammed, Mika dared a glance through the peephole. The hallway was empty. She let out a sigh of relief.
Finally, it's over.
But then a soft sigh behind her. Mika slowly turned. A small hand gripped her pants.
What? Who's there?
She looked down. The yellow hat was torn, filthy, blackened with grime. Her skin wasn't alive, pale, rotting. Half her nose was gone, lips purple and veined with red. one leg missing, and at her feet, a puddle of dark blood.
No, this can't be real.
The memory of the accident came flooding back. By the bent guardrail, flowers, toys, and a small memorial for the driver hit by a motorbike. And there across the path, the half-transparent girl in the yellow hat hopping slowly. It wasn't a cheerful skip. It was dragging, uneven. She had lost her leg.
Danger.
And then, silence. Mika's memory fades. She doesn't recall what happened after, only that the girl was still there. The next day, Mika returned to the accident site. Everything made sense now. The white van's crushed guardrail, the flowers, the toys, the memorials. The girl had never truly left this world. And Mika knew that some encounters don't end.
Never end.
Curious what happens next? Don't miss the next chapter of Mika's story. Subscribe now and help us reach 100 subscribers this month. Be part of the first 100 to uncover the mystery. On a humid summer evening in Tokyo, the air thick with heat and cicada cries, high schooler Mika walked toward her classmate Aya's apartment building. The two had planned a study session for upcoming exams, though Mika also looked forward to a little gossip and fun. Reaching the building entrance, Mika called Aya.
I'm downstairs now, I'll come up right away. Which floor is your apartment again?
Aya's voice came through the phone, calm but unusually serious.
5th floor, room 505. But, Mika, listen carefully. Don't take the elevator. Use the stairs.
Mika frowned, glancing at the elevator with its polished doors.
Eh? Why? Isn't there an elevator right here? I'm not walking 5 floors in this heat.
Aya's tone sharpened slightly.
No, Mika. The elevator is broken. Please, just take the stairs.
Mika laughed softly to herself, shaking her head.
Broken? It looks fine to me. You're just messing with me.
Ignoring the warning, Mika pressed the elevator button and stepped inside. The metallic doors closed behind her with a soft click, sealing her in as she pressed the button for the 5th floor. Inside the elevator, the button for the 5th floor lit up.
See? Totally fine.
Mika muttered, rolling her eyes. The hum of the motor filled the silence until the car shuddered violently and stopped. The doors slid open on the 4th floor. Mika peeked out, empty corridor. Not a sound.
Hello? Anyone out there?
She whispered, her voice trembling. No answer, just the flicker of fluorescent light. She pressed the button for 5 again. The light blinked, then went dead.
What? Are you kidding me? Stupid thing?
She leaned closer, tapping the panel with her finger.
Come on, come on.
That's when it happened. A hand shot in through the gap. White as bone, nails painted deep crimson. Mika froze.
What the hell?
The hand glided over the panel, pressing 1. Then, slowly, deliberately, it pressed the close button. The doors sealed.
No, no, no. Stop. 5th floor. 5th floor.
Mika hammered the buttons, her breath breaking into sobs. But the car descended, ignoring her. The doors opened. The 1st floor, empty. Mika gasped, clutching her umbrella like a weapon.
Okay, just run out. Just run.
She whispered to herself. She took 1 step forward. The hand returned, forcing her back into the car.
Get away from me.
She screamed, stabbing at the air with her umbrella. The hand calmly pressed 4. The elevator rose again. 4th floor, empty hall. Then, again, the hand appeared, stretching too far, too long, nails scraping across the panel. Mika's fear turned to anger. She lashed out with her umbrella.
Stay away! Leave me alone!
Several of the red nails snapped off, scattering onto the floor. Panting, Mika shoved the umbrella into the door gap, forcing it open. The doors slid apart. She stumbled out, running for the stairwell. Mika reached the 5th floor, breathless, and pounded on Aya's door.
Aya, it's me. Open the door.
The door creaked. Aya's face appeared, pale and still.
You took the elevator, didn't you? I told you not to.
Mika's voice cracked.
How do you know that?
Aya tilted her head, cold and lifeless. Mika glanced down. Her fingernails painted red. Screaming, she staggered back. The hallway warped, Doors vanishing, the corridor stretching into darkness. Adaya was gone. Mika ran, stumbling down the stairs, out into the night air. She didn't stop until she reached the street. Then,
Mika, where were you?
she turned and stood under a streetlight, holding a bag of groceries. The real Aya. Mika's blood ran cold. If Aya had just arrived home, who had she been speaking to on the 5th floor? And whose hand had marked her with crimson nails? The elevator in that building is not broken, it is waiting. And those who ride it at night sometimes never return as themselves. Mika had just received the keys to her new apartment. The landlord handed them over with a quick smile.
The 4th floor? Don't worry, nobody lives up there. It's just an empty storage space.
Mika nodded, thanking him, and carried her boxes inside. As she unpacked, she remembered glimpsing a shadow on the staircase earlier. Someone ascending the top floor. She hadn't paid it much attention. After all, people moved in and out all the time. Later that afternoon, her friend Aya arrived to help tidy up. They chatted as they organized, laughed at little messes, and arranged furniture. Everything seemed ordinary.
It feels quiet. Almost too quiet up there.
The apartment was calm, the sun casting a warm glow through the windows. Mika had no reason to suspect anything unusual, just a normal day settling into a new home. That evening, as the apartment grew quiet and the sun disappeared behind distant buildings, Mika found herself standing at the stairwell again. The 4th floor lay ahead, just as the landlord had said, empty.
It's just an empty floor, nothing to see. But I wonder why I thought I saw someone earlier.
Her fingers hovered over the door handle. She peered through the keyhole for the first time. Darkness greeted her, ordinary and unremarkable. She blinked, stepped back, and shrugged. Perhaps it was just her imagination. That evening, the apartment was quiet. Mika was unpacking the last of her boxes when she heard it. A faint creaking sound from above, like a door opening and closing slowly.
Someone up there? But the landlord said the 4th floor is empty.
Her heart quickened. She hesitated, torn between fear and curiosity. The sound repeated, a soft shuffle, then silence. She felt compelled to see what was happening. Mika crept to the stairwell, careful not to make a sound. She paused before the door to the 4th floor and peered through the keyhole. At first, darkness greeted her, seemingly ordinary. But then, a faint glow caught her eye. A deep, crimson hue.
It's red?
Mika's eyes lingered on the crimson glow for a few seconds longer. Her heart raced, but something about the quiet darkness of the hallway urged her to step back. Shaking her head, she whispered to herself.
Maybe it's just my imagination. Better not push it.
Reluctantly, she withdrew from the keyhole, her curiosity simmering beneath the surface. For now, she would let it go and wait for another sign before daring to look again. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the apartment. Mika moved boxes and tidied up, but her mind kept wandering back to the red glow she had glimpsed the night before.
Aya, do you know if anyone has ever lived on the 4th floor?
Not that I've heard. Why? Did something happen?
Mika hesitated, choosing her words carefully. She didn't want to sound paranoid, yet curiosity gnawed at her.
I thought I saw something last night. Maybe it was nothing.
Well, there's a story. Some people say the 4th floor has been unusual for a long time. No one really stays up there for long.
Aya didn't elaborate further, leaving the words hanging in the air. Mika's curiosity was piqued, but she nodded and turned her attention back to unpacking, the red glow from the keyhole still lingering in her thoughts.
Something about that floor, I need to know more, but maybe not yet.
That evening, as Mika unpacked the last of her boxes, a faint creaking sound reached her ears from the stairwell above.
Again? Could it be someone up there?
Her curiosity overcame caution. She tiptoed to the 4th floor and leaned close to the keyhole. Darkness greeted her at first, but then a deep, crimson glow filled her vision.
It's red again. Just a shadow, right?
A soft shuffle echoed above, a door moving slowly. Mika's heart quickened. Against her better judgment, she gently knocked on the door. No response. Silence. She peered through the keyhole once more, still red, the same blood-red vision that seemed to stare back at her.
Strange, but maybe it's nothing. I'll just leave it for now.
She descended the stairs, unaware that the crimson eyes had been watching her all along, waiting for the story Akaya would soon reveal. Later that evening, Mika found herself sitting across from Akaya, recounting the strange red glow she had seen through the keyhole.
I saw something red. Not once, but twice. I even knocked on the door, but no one answered. When I looked again, it was still red.
Akaya's expression turned serious. She leaned in slightly, her voice low, drawing Mika closer.
Mikai, you need to hear this carefully. There's a story about this very floor about a girl who once lived here. Legend says that long ago, a young woman once lived in this very apartment. One fateful day, something terrible happened, and she never returned. Her final moments were shrouded in mystery, and it is said that her eyes glowed a deep crimson, as if she had somehow seen everything before the end.
Mika's fingers tightened around her mug. A chill ran down her spine. She thought of the crimson glow through the keyhole, and the soft shuffle she had heard above.
No one could stay on that floor for long. Even the landlord whispered that strange noises and shadows always appeared, and those who peeked often felt eyes on them, watching, waiting.
Mika's mind raced. The pieces fell together. Every red glow, every shuffle, every empty response at the door. She had not been imagining it. The red eyes had been there, staring, watching her, always.
I've been staring back all along.
The apartment seemed to grow colder, the shadows longer. What had begun as mere curiosity now weighed heavy with a silent, watching presence. Her curiosity was piqued, but fear had not yet taken hold. Mika had no idea that the eyes she saw were watching her too, always, silently. Curious what happens next? Don't miss the next chapter of Mika's story. Subscribe now and help us reach 100 subscribers this month. Be part of the first 100 to uncover the mystery.
It had been years since my last visit. Back in college, I stayed at a small village inn tucked away in the mountains. The people were kind, the food unforgettable. And lately, I felt this strange urge to return. If I follow this road, I should see the sign. Something like 3 kilometers ahead.
But instead of the familiar marker, a different sign appeared by the roadside.
Kyoto? What does that even mean?
The words were unfamiliar. The structure made no sense in Japanese. But the characters were clear, painted in stark black strokes, as if freshly written.
I've never seen this before, but it should be the right way.
So Mika turned the wheel and entered the road marked by Kyoto.
The road narrowed as I drove deeper into the valley. The trees grew thicker, darker, and then I saw it, the village.
But the place Mika remembered was gone. What stood before her was a corpse of a town.
The village was dead. Every house was draped in weeds, windows shattered, roofs collapsing. It looked abandoned for decades. Hello? Is anyone here? The buildings were half collapsed, covered in vines. Windows shattered, doors broken. The inn where I once stayed was nothing but a shell. Something felt wrong. The air was too still. No birds, no insects, only silence.
Then, the grass ahead began to move, and that was when Mika saw it. A figure standing 20 meters ahead, half hidden in the weeds.
What is that? Its body was human, but the head was enormous. Too big to be real.
From the weeds rose a figure. Its body thin, but its head grotesquely swollen, larger than its shoulders.
No.
And then, more appeared, heads swaying side to side, their long arms dangling, palms pressed against their thighs as they began to run. They charged toward her car, dozens of them, faces twisted, mouths hanging open as if ready to swallow her whole.
Move!
With a screech of tires, Mika spun the wheel, barely dodging their grasping hands. The swarm of giant heads chased after her, until the mountain road spat her back onto the highway, and the figures vanished like smoke.
I looked in the mirror, and the sign that read Kyoto was gone. Back in the city, I tried to convince myself it was a hallucination. But something felt wrong. Something followed me home. This wasn't here before I left the village. It's still warm, like it remembers.
The bracelet pulsed faintly, as if carrying the memory of the giants. A reminder that some places never forget, and some things never let go.
The next day, I couldn't shake it. I had to see the village one more time. I drove back to the place where I saw the strange road sign. It should be right here, but nothing. No sign, no village, just the overgrown path.
The village, or at least the sign, had vanished. Some stories only appear under certain eyes, and disappear just as quickly.
This wasn't here yesterday, and it still feels alive.
The giants may be gone, but their memory lingers. Will you dare seek what cannot be found? Follow for more chilling urban legends. And remember, some places never truly let you leave. They say some karaoke bars in Japan are more than just places for singing. Some hold secrets. Tonight, Mika shares her story about an old karaoke house, one that never felt right.
It was about 10 years ago. I was working part-time at this old karaoke place. The building had been there since I was in junior high. The outside looked worn down, but inside, it was remodeled. Flashy lights, trendy wallpaper. Still, the machines were old. Some newer live DAM. You another slow night, huh?
Yeah, but don't bother with the rooms upstairs. Manager says just leave them locked.
Locked? But aren't we always turning on the TVs in the morning?
That's just how it's always been. Don't ask too much.
Over half the rooms were sealed off with wooden boards. On the key rack, there was one labeled changing room, but nobody ever used it. Nobody dared.
Because at night, the phones in those sealed rooms would ring.
Hi? Hello? Karaoke front desk. Who?
Don't worry about it, Mika. It happens all the time.
One morning, while turning on the machines, I heard footsteps. Wait! I saw the back of a child in a red t-shirt running deeper into the second floor. I hurried to turn on the rest of the machines, then rushed downstairs. Did you guide a family upstairs? I saw a kid.
Nope, nobody new came in.
But I saw him. I even checked every room after. There was no one.
Yeah, happens a lot. Don't think too much about it.
There was also a woman mid-50s, very heavy set. Every week, she reserved a room in the farthest corner upstairs.
And she never came alone.
She always brought 3 skinny young men, bound with ropes, their faces empty, lifeless.
Don't look, don't ask, just let her sing.
Eventually, a new manager arrived. Shocked by these stories, he called for an exorcism.
They sprinkled holy water, chanted prayers, but nothing changed. The phones kept ringing, the shadows kept moving.
One sofa had become a nest. When pest control ripped it open, thousands of cockroaches poured out, covering the floor like a living wave.
I worked there for 3 years. The strange calls, the child in red, the woman with her, companions, it all continued. Eventually, I quit, not because of ghosts, but because a male customer stalked me.
Years later, Mika visited the karaoke house again.
The second floor had even more rooms sealed shut, extra boards nailed to the doors. Something else must have happened.
And so the karaoke house continues its songs, mixing with voices of the living and the dead. Would you dare sing in a place like this? Tell us what you think in the comments. And remember, some songs should never be sung alone. Subscribe to Whispers Beyond Archives if you want more stories that blur the line between the living and the dead.
During my university days, I went for a late-night drive with my friend Aya. The summer air in Tokyo was humid and heavy, with cicadas singing relentlessly. That night, we had impulsively decided to drive to a ramen shop in the neighboring city. On the way back, we took a winding mountain road that twisted like a snake. During the day, the route seemed familiar, but at night, the darkness transformed it. Every tree, rock, and shadow felt alive, making me shiver. I was behind the wheel, though ironically, I felt more afraid than Aya. I wished she could drive, thinking it might ease my tension, but Aya, having drunk a little at the ramen shop, sat quietly in the passenger seat. Her voice, soft but serious, whispered,
Did you know this mountain has a lot of strange legends?
I pretended not to care. Oh, really? Ajaya lowered her head, silent for a while, as if contemplating something deep. The road was two-way, yet no cars came from the opposite direction. Sparse streetlights barely illuminated the asphalt. Only the engine hum and cicadas filled the night. Suddenly, I saw a figure ahead. My heart jumped. But it was a Jizo statue by the roadside. Strange, I thought. This massive statue hadn't been here before. Or had I never noticed it? Its presence was unnerving in the darkness. Akwaya then said quietly,
Do you want to hear a scary story?
I felt a chill, but replied, Sure. Aya began her story.
At my old home there was a small spirit buried in our yard, my grandfather told me. It had been guarding our family for generations, but it was often angry. We had to water the stone daily, keeping it clean. The night, the winding road, and Aya's calm voice made the story feel real, almost tangible.
Aya continued.
The so-called little spirit is like a zashiki warashi, a household guardian. But burying it, that's unusual. I asked my grandfather why it had to be buried.
Suddenly, a shadow appeared ahead. My pulse raced. The headlights revealed another Jizo statue. No, this can't be, I whispered. The trees and roads seemed to twist unnaturally, trapping us. Aya's calm voice continued.
Since then, my family prospered, but misfortune also came. To appease the spirit's anger, we had to care for that stone properly.
I panicked. Stop talking, we need to get out of here. No matter how I turned the wheel, the road seemed to loop back to the same point. Time and space felt distorted. Aya looked up, expression calm but eerie.
This is our family secret. My grandfather taught me a spell. Hey, hey, where are your hands? Where are your feet? Support the pillar, hey, oh. Support the corridor, hey, oh.
A cold chill surged through me, goosebumps spreading across my skin. The car felt thick with tension, almost suffocating. Suddenly, the fog lifted, revealing the familiar city road. We drove in silence, stopping only near a family restaurant. Aya whispered.
I dug it up.
I stared at her, unsure if it was a joke or reality. Later, I learned that while she spoke of the strange legends, a pale, flat face had peeked from beneath the passenger seat, grinning eerily. That story wasn't for me, it was for that face. Even under the city lights, I could still feel the shadow of that night watching, waiting, ready to return. If you want to uncover more hidden tales and chilling legends, subscribe and hit the bell. Some stories are waiting in the shadows, just for you.
In a country where quiet streets and humble routines shape daily life, the supernatural hides in plain sight. A knock behind a sliding door. Footsteps in a school corridor after everyone has gone home. A shadow that stands just a little too still near the vending machines at night. These stories remind us of something important. You don't need to venture into haunted forests or cursed tunnels to meet the unknowns. Sometimes, it finds you first. So if you ever feel a cold draft behind you, while doing something as ordinary as taking out the trash, or hear a voice whisper where no one should be, remember tonight's stories, and don't look back too quickly. If you enjoyed this journey into Japan's everyday hauntings, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and share this video with someone who loves true ghost stories. And tell me in the comments, which encounter felt the closest to your own life? Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and don't ignore the small things in the dark.